They wanted to make an Amy Winehouse biopic, and somebody said yes, yes, yes. Back to Black, now in theaters.
So many conflicting feelings about this movie. Because I'd heard it was terrible. Like, I just went and saw it last night. I just went and paid money, bought a ticket last night and saw it. And the reviews have been really, really bad. It's like 37% or something like that. And it is a lot of the same territory of what we saw in the Academy Award winning documentary, Amy. Yeah. And yet it is not enough of that information at all. You got to subscribe because we're here for you for all the highs and lows of summer movies, Furiosa, of course, but then also movies like this, which people are going to be talking about as well for reasons good and bad. So
I don't think I was put on this earth just to sing. Me. I want to be a wife. I want to be a mum.
Marisa Abela stars as Amy Winehouse. And of course, she was a singular performing presence. And as the Asif Kapadia documentary, Amy shows us with, all kinds of behind the scenes footage from recording and just from her life. She was intense and she was troubled and she has substance abuse problems, but she also had a singular talent. The word iconic gets tossed around a lot, but truly her voice was iconic and unlike anybody else. And her ability to blend, like an old school kind of jazzy tone, but with like a modern edge. Like no one looked like her. No one sounded like her. And she died at age 27 of alcohol poisoning back in 2011. So this movie now takes her story and we have the music now because the family okayed this. And that is always a bad sign, right? From the outset, like when they're producers on a film, when they've okayed the use to the rights of the music, like you get the music, but you also get a very softened version of this. And so what ends up happening here is the people who were clearly the villains in her story, the ones who set her on this tragic path, get absolution here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Her dad in particular, played by Eddie Marsan, and her husband, Blake, off and on tormented love affair with him, played by
Jack O'Connell.
What's that?
Jack O'Connell.
Yeah, I was going to say Josh O'Connor, different guy. Jack O'Connor. Sam Taylor Johnson directed this. Yes. And there are a few scenes that work. What she's trying to do here, I feel like she's trying to deviate from the cliches of the music biopic, right? Like we talk about Walk Hard around here an awful lot. And movies that came before it and then came after it and didn't learn from it.
Right.
The Rocket Mans and the Bohemian Rhapsodies of the world. Recently, we had that Whitney Houston movie, I Want to Dance with Somebody, although there was a documentary about her that also did all this stuff better.
And the Bob Marley movie.
Exactly, Bob Marley movie. And so, there's a formula of like they take a title from one of the most famous songs and that becomes a movie title and you have this sort of sanitized version of a very complicated person's life. And so as director, Sam Taylor Johnson, I feel like she's trying to not hit all those beats, right? Like there's not the obvious montage of the albums and the hits and the headlines and the concert tours, but because she omits that, there's really crucial context that is missing, right? So you see her recording Back to Black, the one song Back to Black, and even that's intercut with like montages of stuff. And then pretty soon afterwards, she's doing this performance at a radio station. And the host asks her, Amy, you've got the #1 album in all the world. And it's like, she does?
She does? Yeah,
When did that happen? All of a sudden, she's smoking crack. When did that happen?
Oh, okay. I want to put a pin in that one.
Let's do that.
Because like early on, the whole thing with Blake is she's like, you know what? I like weed, but I don't do drugs. I you can, whatever, fine. But it's not my thing. I will not, I do not. And then she's smoking crack. And I'm like, could we have one scene in the middle where she changes her mind about this thing? Because they've made there's like 2 or 3 scenes where she plants her flag and they're like, no hard drugs for me, thank you. And then suddenly, oh no, hard drugs. So yeah, things like that just stack up in this movie. It totally feels like the dad and the husband saw the documentary and were like, all right, we need to fix this because they do not come off well at all. And so, so now we have this officially sanctioned Bowdlerized version and it just feels thoroughly phony.
It does. Because like, for example, there's a scene where one of her many, many lows, she says, I need to go to rehab. And the dad says, okay. And he takes her to rehab.
Yeah.
Like he's this benevolent angel, like shepherding her.
I thought they've cast Eddie Marsan. This guy's going to be like, nefarious, right? Like I'm thinking the Eddie Marsan from like Happy Go Lucky, but no, we get adorable Sherlock Holmes Eddie Marsan, and then like he's never anything but supportive and loving for his daughter, and I'm like, we saw the documentary, dude. Right. We know you were like not this squeaky clean in this story. So yeah, I felt like this. You're right. They're trying to avoid all of the tropes that we've seen a million times, but they're actively lying to you, is what it feels like. And so it's like, what are we even doing here? That said, Marisa Abela is leaving it all on the floor. Like it is a really intense performance. She's really. She crosses that line of like, you stop seeing the actress and you just think, okay, well, this is Amy Winehouse. Like, where did they get her? But yeah, this movie is so phony. It's really exasperating.
And she's doing her own singing, which is amazing. I just watched an interview with her on Colbert. She's not a singer. She's not a trained singer.
Wow.
And so to recreate that voice, which is so specific and so hard and so beloved, like she had, sung a little bit here and there, like karaoke for fun, but to take that on is just a huge challenge. Wow. And yeah, you do feel like you were watching her after a while, and it gives great range as far as you see her as a young and kind of firecracker of an aspiring singer, and she's got an edge to her, but like she's hopeful. And then you see like how the addiction takes over. Yeah, it's not like Blake gives her crack the first time. She even says like, Class A drugs are for mugs. That's her catchphrase, because she has disdain for him and his habits. But the scene where they meet at the pub is really exciting and dangerous, and there's a lot of like playful, charismatic flirtation going on there, and there is an undercurrent of tension and danger, because how this is all going to turn out, that he's going to be toxic for her, that they're going to be horrible for each other. But like in that glimmer of a moment, like, oh, it's kind of fun and kind of playful.
But I mean, yes, it is. And I think the actors are bringing that to it, and the knowledge that like he currently has a girlfriend, by the end of the movie, they are letting Blake off so easy, where he's literally like talking about, when I went to jail and I addressed my own sort of our toxic codependency or whatever. I'm like,
he didn't say that.
What? No, bullshit. I call shenanigans on this whole fucking movie. So yeah, there is some craft here and there are some good performances, but it is nonsense. Watch the documentary, listen to the records, you're good.
It also ends on a weirdly jarring note of uplift.
Yeah.
That feels very forced. But they do get little things right. Like they recreate the dress she wore when she married Blake, the little white dress with the anchors on it. Like that's actually what she wore on her wedding day. So there's care going on here.
The live Grammys thing, I remember watching that, and like this looked exactly like it. So,
they recreate that. So which number then on Back to Black?
What's your number? I always go first.
Oh, that's true. I'm going to say like a 3.6, because she's really good, and there's some care and like the costumes and production design, but it's just kind of gross. No, I'm with you. I'm like a 3.5. And solely for her performance, and some of the detail work, and for O'Connell's performance. But yeah, this is a desecration. All right, don't see it.